Good morning, everyone. Virgo Triad here. It is March 27th, 2019, and I hope everyone is having a great week so far. Today we're going to be talking about something that people have been asking me about for the last month, and that is how I'm dealing with trolls. Now, most of you have noticed that there's been an influx in trolls since I got back. They've shown up on the Virgo Triad channel since I got back from having my health issues and was out for a few months. The subscribership on the Virgo Triad channel has gone up immensely, which is great. But along with that, of course, come the trolls. I know that there have been several times that you guys have questioned whether or not I was going to keep going because dealing with the health issues does have a tendency to get you when you're feeling down, and then you end up with these crazy death threats. And when things are that serious that you actually have to call the police in order to turn in threats from a YouTube channel, that can get to a point where it starts to get you down a little bit. But under normal circumstances, just the regular trolls that are not making death threats, they just require you to remember a few basic things that are true of the majority of all trolls. And actually, it's really pretty easy when you stop and look at it from the right point of view. Number one, having haters and trolls and having a successful channel, or a successful anything for that matter, pretty much goes hand in hand. It's really true, and it's really a good indicator that you're on the correct path of success if just about anything that you're doing, when you're doing something right and you're becoming successful at anything, there's always going to be people that hate you. Matter of fact, I don't know of a single person who's achieved any kind of larger success without pissing off a bunch of people along the way. Here are some things to remember when you're dealing with trolls or haters, and this is actually number one, the main thing. If they could do it better, they would have done it already. And that's it. That's pretty much the end of the story when it comes to these trolls. Case closed. If they could do it better themselves, they'd be doing it. But because they can't, they troll it. I don't want any misunderstandings. There's a good reason that I'm doing this video. The Virgo Triad channel exposes scams and con artists. And one of the things that happens when you do a lot of exposing of cons and scams is that the con artists and the scammers don't like it. So you end up with a lot of people that come over and make really negative comments. Then you have just the regular trolls that will come over and make comments to attempt to try to get some form of a rise out of you because they simply don't like the fact that you're working against somebody that they're following's agenda. Usually it's somebody who's unsuspecting and gullible and believes that the scam is a good thing and really works for people. As you've seen in the past, the Virgo Triad channel has had many in that scenario. And then you get those that are downright evil and make those terrible threats. There's a lot of different ways to deal with these things. I'm going to tell you the main ones, and I'm doing it for a specific reason. I want people to understand the psychology behind these trolls, and I also want people to understand that have other channels, that there is a way to deal with them that doesn't drive you absolutely insane. So I'm hoping that this video is reaching out to those channels that are struggling, that have been sending me emails and asking me specific questions about how to deal with these really hateful and ugly people. See, trolls in their miserable existence, what they want to try to do is they want to try to catfish you. Catfishing is an interesting way of putting it because for those of you that are fishermen or fisherwomen, if you actually go out and you fish and you drag your line, a lot of times, specifically I believe in specific types of casting, that's called trolling. It's dragging your line and teasing the fish. Well, catfishing is something that we all have heard of online, and for those of you that haven't, it's very similar to trolling. There's an attempt that is made by the troll to catfish you in order to get you to respond to them. to give them some form of attention, preferably negative attention. See, trolls happen to fall along a spectrum that's called the dark tetrad. You're looking at it right now on the screen. The dark tetrad is actually made up of a grouping of 4 different behavioral issues, and those 4 are Machiavellianism, narcissism, psychopathy, and sadism. Now, I'm going to go over each one briefly with you so that you have a form of definition to go with each one of these things. It's actually pretty important when you're looking at the psychiatry, or the psychology rather, not the psychiatry, although they need those too, the psychology behind trolling. It's important that people understand what that psychology is. Because once you understand it, and once you know why it's being done, it's much easier for you to deal with it and for you to see that in reality, these trolls can actually help you. Number 1, Machiavellianism is defined as cunning and scheming and unscrupulous. In psychology, it refers to a personality trait which sees a person that's so focused on their own interests that they will manipulate the naive and exploit others in order to achieve their goals at any cost. Psychopathy is a developmental disorder marked by emotional deficits and increased risk for antisocial behavior. Some of the traits that you will experience with someone who has psychopathy are pathological lying, superficial charm, grandiose sense of self, a need for specific types of stimulation, and one of those forms of stimulation is negative attention, being cunning and manipulative, and a severe lack of remorse or guilt, shallow emotional responses, callousness, and a lack of empathy. A narcissist, in turn, shows very similar traits to what was just stated for psychopathy, and the two can at times go hand in hand. A narcissist loves to gaslight. They like to do something called triangulate. They have a need to destroy anything that they envy. And once again, it is a form of antisocial behavior. It's really, really easy to exhibit antisocial behavior sitting behind a keyboard. And finally, the sadism. The sadism may be a little different than what a lot of people think, and that's why I'm going to go into it just a little bit here. Sadism involves gaining pleasure from seeing others undergo pain or discomfort. They really actually get enjoyment from committing sadistic acts, too, generally. But individuals possessing sadistic personality display reoccurring cruel behavior and aggression towards others that's online, specifically has to do with the type of trolls that do nothing but bait, and they will keep you going for hours, wasting your time and just doing nothing but attempting to try to put you in as much discomfort and pain as possible. Now, when I never let anything get to this extent, okay? When I start getting uncomfortable or I simply don't feel like I'm reaching someone, at that point I make a decision what to do. And most of the time that entails me just simply cutting off the conversation. If you go through some of the comments on my channel, you will see at times I just simply say, I'm done. I'm done. Conversation over from my end. I'm done. You can keep going if you want to. And I will let it continue on the channel as long as they don't become abusive or start, throwing out a bunch of expletives. I have no problem leaving it up there. Matter of fact, I had an interesting one in the middle of the night last night when I wasn't able to sleep. I took a look at my channel comments and I noticed somebody had commented on there. Do you leave any of the trolls' comments up? The bottom line is there's a lot of comments that are opposing views on the Virgo Triad channel. Absolutely, out of 280 or more videos, oh my goodness, there's tons. And you guys that are regular subscribers can attest to that because you go through and you actually make comments to those individuals and you sit there and you listen to a lot of garbage that they spew out and you've seen. that as long as they don't get out of hand with abuse, and as long as they don't start taking actual shots at my subscribers, and as long as they continue to keep things respectful, I will leave them on the channel. But when they get out of control and they get nasty and they become threats or they become abusive, that is when they get hidden and they get blocked. I have to make that decision quite often on this channel, and I'm hoping that by hearing what I'm doing in order to make those decisions, that this will help some other people too. So here is a list of the things that I basically do, and I pretty much have stuck to this since day one. If I happen to get a comment that's particularly ugly with regards to a troll or not, the first thing that I do is wait. Especially since there are times when my emotions may be a little bit different than normal, especially if I'm not feeling well that day, or I've just come back from a bad doctor's appointment, or I got a shot that made me feel like shit. Whatever happens to be, whatever it is that I'm irritated about, I certainly don't need a troll to get me riled up. So, if I read something that is particularly disappointing that comes through on the comment section, I simply leave it there for a while. It may be just a few hours, or it could be a couple days, just depending on what's going on. Then I make a decision from that point forward to either ignore them, kill them with kindness, or educate them. 9 times out of 10, the people that have watched the Virgo Triad channel over the last 2 years know I try very, very hard to be kind to everyone, and I try very hard to educate, especially when it's something that I absolutely am attempting to try to get across to everybody so they don't get hurt. But there are times where I can't do either one of those two things, and as a result, I end up having to ignore them. Quite often I will ignore them, but still leave their actual question up, so that this way other people can respond to them if they want to, provided that it's not abusive, and provided that it isn't something that's going to make other people triggered. One thing that I always do, regardless of which one, of those 3 that I choose, is I always stand my ground. I absolutely will not put anything up on the Virgo Triad channel that I don't back myself. It's not to say that I don't make mistakes, but I do research very well, and I'm very cautious to make sure that I don't make a mistake. I'll give you an example. Several months ago, there was a video that I did on something called the Fascio Blaster, or the Fascio Blaster, Flat Fascia Blaster. I never can pronounce it right. There was some information with regards to the plastic that it was made out of, and I was given inaccurate information when I went in and spoke to the person who actually did some research on it. I was told that the plastic itself actually was damaging. As it turns out, that wasn't true. Although the product itself is extremely damaging because of the way that it's used, and it's definitely something that should not be purchased, it is, in my opinion, very much a scam, and it's very, very, very hard on muscles, and it bruises your body up really badly, and people are certainly not encouraged by any means to purchase it or to use it. The fact that the actual chemicals in the plastic itself were damaging was simply not true. So I had to go back and I had to make a comment with regards to that on those videos to ensure that people were aware of the mistake that had been made. I stand my ground behind what I say, and if I make a mistake, I correct it as rapidly as possible. So I always stand my ground, regardless, with these trolls. I know for sure that what I'm telling you is accurate, and therefore I feel comfortable standing up for myself. And when it all comes down to it, I will use block and I will use report if it becomes absolutely necessary, and that includes reporting it to the police or the Federal Bureau of Investigations if necessary. I've gotten some pretty terrible death threats during the time that I have been on YouTube. I've gotten death threats that were not only against me, but against my family members. Some pretty scary stuff has come down, and I have not hesitated to block, report to both YouTube, local police department, if I knew where they were located, their police department, and in addition to that, the local Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the online ICE group. So, my question to the people that are out there that are very concerned about the trolls that are running around and that are making a mockery, in their opinion, those are their words, not mine, of YouTube. Are you really going to let who I consider to be your biggest fans bring you down? It's true. Your trolls are really your biggest fans. Your trolls are really the ones that are so envious of you that they can't control themselves from trying to pick at you and get your attention, even though they know it's going to be negative attention. They still want it. And it's because you're doing something that they either can't or won't. Like I said, the number one rule to this is, if they could be doing it, they would already have been doing it. If they could do it better than you, they would have already started doing it, and somebody else would be trolling them. Think back of every time that you were ever successful in your life. How many people did you end up having to deal with who were mad? Maybe even family. They can be some of the worst. The truth is, human nature and human psychology is just a really strange thing. And even people that love you can become envious and jealous. But trolls, all they're doing is making a mess, talking about you, and bringing other people to your channel. All they do is come and hit a dislike button, which actually puts you higher up on the algorithm for YouTube and more people see your video. All they do is come over, watch 5 minutes of your video and make a nasty comment, but during that time, they're watching an advertisement that gives you 10 cents in your pocket for all the hard work you've done. They may go over on another channel and talk about, oh, that Virgo triad, she thinks she knows everything, calling me every name in the book, including Magic 8-Ball, thank you, April Lejeune. But guess what? A lot of those people are paying attention to what that troll is saying, and now they want to check out the channel too, and we may save some other people from getting scammed because of it. The truth is that trolls and haters are really, underneath it all, people that just wish they could be doing what you're doing. And no matter what they say, no matter how many times they try to tell you on your channel that you're not worthy and all of this, the subscribership and the views that you're getting, and everything that other people are saying to you that are willing to actually make normal comments will tell you differently. The more you have trolls and haters, the more on target you are for bigger and bigger success. So don't let it get you down, guys. I hope everybody is having a great week so far. I want to let you guys know that I'm actually working on something. It's a video that I've been working on for a few days now. It is a reaction video. It's a reaction video to some comments that were made about yours truly by Miss April Lejeune. And it's a reaction video that I've taken the time to put together to react to all of these different statements that she's made, and to actually show proof of the things that she has made comments on that are 100% false. Like the fact that Winston Shrout was never going to see the inside of a prison. Like the fact that, he filled out a UCC1, so therefore they can't tried to get him, like the fact that he'll never be seen in the prison system because he, it just all got absolved and dismissed, which of course is not the case. He is now a fugitive of justice. We have proof of all of that, and she will probably never back up her claims because that's what April does. She spews out whatever she feels like at the time and then pretends like she never said it. But I think it'll be entertaining for everyone and interesting, and that will be coming out on Friday. And I look very much forward to you guys seeing it. So I hope everybody has gotten some insight into trolls and their psychology from this video. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.